Hello music lovers, welcome back to the Woodshed. Ever plug your acoustic guitar in or your acoustic instruments in and just think, man, this sucks. I just can't get my acoustic to sound acceptable, much less even good. I might have a solution for you. Let's check it out. All right, so when I plug in my acoustic, one of the things that I always struggle with is the actual pick chirp, right? The actual amount of noise from the pick and hitting the string versus the actual note. I always refer to that as the piezo quack. It's like this weird plasticky type of sound where I just hear more and more pick noise and I can't EQ it out. It's not in the treble. It can't do anything to it, can't compress it, can't get it out, and I don't hear enough note. The solution might be in a preamp. So what I've done today is put together the board that I use most of the time for acoustic scenarios. I use this with small bluegrass type scenario, or I use it on a pop country kind of thing.
Let me show you that board.
This is from right to left, input to the output, Polytune, the MXR reverb that you might remember from Uncle Ben and I doing the reverb shootout. And this little guy, this is the GRACE DESIGN BIX Preamp. This preamp's interesting in that it allows me to bump up my signal and get as much body on the note as possible. I also hear more top end of the instrument and less of the pick chirp. So this is actually what I use. This company is out of Colorado, and I got turned on to it by some friends of mine. Eli Bishop, Matt Menifee are some guys in the band The Hit Points, a video game music band that plays it on acoustic instruments, banjos, fiddles, mandolins, etc. And also country music legend Glenn Campbell. A couple of his kids, Shannon and Ashley, are fabulous musicians, and both of them were telling me to check out the GRACE DESIGN gear. They always knew that I was always complaining about plugging in my mandolin. I would always rather have a microphone if possible, but plenty of times that's not the case. So they suggested the GRACE DESIGN Preamp, and let me tell you guys what, this thing sounds amazing. It's a really simple layout. It's got, on the back, it's got your inputs and outputs, XLR if you want it, power, a couple of small EQ controls, and on the front, which I like the most, mute button, turn it off, turn it on, and a boost. This is really great for me for acoustic instruments because plenty is the time that I'll set my levels and my tones where it sounds great for rhythm, and then I can't get it up enough, and I don't want to have to rely on a monitor or front of house to kind of ride a favor. So I can set the boost up to plus 10 decibels of gain, which is really great. And you have the actual gain, and then low and high. There's not a lot of controls on here, which I find really, really nice. I don't like to have too many EQs and options. I end up just making it sound worse. So the more EQs, the more you're altering the natural characteristics of the instrument. So for me, I trust front of house or monitor guy to shelve whatever might be a problem frequency that night. But in general, I love the simplicity of this. The reverb is set just to a basic plate. What you're hearing in Logic on these videos and comparisons, there's nothing done in Logic, no EQ. I'm not hitting anything. I'm just going straight into my Focusrite, straight into Logic. The reverb you hear is from the MXR, and that's it. So without further ado, let's take a listen to this thing and see what I'm talking about. Up first, we're going to hear the acoustic guitar with no preamp involved. This is just my Larrivee with its onboard pickup system. Okay, not bad. Now let's hear it with the GRACE DESIGN and see how much more body and fullness we can get out of this thing. Great. You can see that on the EQs and controls, everything's just kind of at noon. If I do anything, I'll adjust a little bit of top end. One little note that's nice is this has a little catch to where you can feel when it's truly at 0. I like that. All right, next up, let's hear the mandolin with no preamp at all. Okay, so you can tell the mandolin's really soft. There's not any kind of onboard preamp or anything like that. So usually I have to run some kind of pedal or some kind of preamp to get the mandolin signal hot enough for front of house. Now let's try that again with the GRACE Design. Okay, obviously it's quite a bit louder, but if you notice, there's more of everything. There's more low end, there's more transient harmonic content up in the top registers. Everything that I want to hear is just a little more natural. Obviously, nothing is better than putting a microphone on an acoustic instrument. That is the truth. There's no way to ever get a plugged-in instrument to sound as good as a microphone. That's not what this video is about. What it is about is getting a piece of gear and a small, efficient pedal board that'll get the best out of your plugged-in tone. In closing, there's no replacement for a microphone. It's the best way to do any acoustic instruments. But plenty is the time, whether it be a church gig, a club gig, a bar gig, or an arena where it's just not an option to have a microphone. The stage volume's too loud and everything's gonna feed back and you have to plug in. Well, hopefully this little board right here, specifically this GRACE Design Preamp, will step in and allow you to improve that plugged in acoustic tone, get a little more body out of your instrument, and a little less of that pick quack. Thanks for tuning in on this video. We'll see you next time. Crispy high fives.